Today on the Business 360 podcast, we are welcoming someone who has gone through the entire franchise lifecycle. My guest is Sonny Singh, but everyone calls him Sonny. Sonny is currently the CFO at Safety First Systems, a driver safety and training company based in New Jersey. As I mentioned before, Sonny owned and operated a franchise for 101 Mobility. 101 Mobility is a company that offers a wide selection of commercial and home accessibility products for the elderly and disabled. Sonny, I'd like to welcome you to the Business 360 podcast.
Thanks for having me, Rishab.
Anytime. Really glad, because this is actually a hot topic. A lot of entrepreneurs who want to get into the world of business do tend to look at franchises. So before we have a discussion of the franchise industry in general, I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about 101 Mobility and maybe the market that it served.
Sure, I would love to. So 101 Mobility was a company that was formed back in 2007. And it started off, we were the 15th franchisee to join the model. And essentially it was for accessibility equipment for senior citizens and people with disabilities. So stair lifts, ramps, vertical platform lifts. The reason why it was important for me is because the demographic itself, at that time, I'm sure it's changed by now, but at that time, I think 10,000 people were turning to the age of 65 every month. So there was a huge group of people who had a need for these products. And for me personally, this was a good opportunity to do something that would assist people.
When you went for 101 Mobility, what was the avenue that got you into this franchise? Like, how did you discover it to know that, hey, this franchise is available and this is the one I want to choose?
Essentially, what I did is when the idea came in my mind of starting a business of some kind, someone mentioned to me about the idea of getting into a franchise. First step that I took is I got in touch with a franchise coach. The franchise coach sat down with me, went over my finances, went over how much capital I had, and most importantly, went into what I wanted to do. And I had a six-figure job. I was, I just fresh out of getting an executive MBA in finance. I wanted to try something that would interest me. And so I got in touch with the franchise coach. He came up with a list of about 10 franchises, which he thought would be a good fit for me. And I made my list down to 4. And coincidentally, out of the 4, 3 of them were something that were helping people. So I believe 101 Mobility, the reason I picked that was primarily because of the demographic. And again, it just was close to my heart. I had 2 years before that, I had lost my father. And 13 years before that, I had lost my mother. So I always, I always wanted to be in a position that I could help people, especially the elderly.
What did you see about the senior citizen demographic that made you realize that this is a viable market?
Right. So the baby boomers were all turning, at that time, they were all turning 65. And like I said, the statistic, it was like some ridiculous number, like 10,000 a month. So there were the people who were on the top of the baby boomer generation, but the people who kind of fell at the bottom of the baby boomer generation wanted to get these for their parents, and they had the money to spend. So it was the demographic, it was the company itself that appealed to me.
You said you had a franchise coach
Yeah.
that introduced you to this franchise. Depending on the franchise, but many of them tend to give some type of support and resources. Were you provided from this coach a list of these franchises and the support that they provide to you?
So as it turns out, Rishab, everybody, from a franchisor's perspective, when they start going out there and they say, oh, we want to franchise our business, they do come up with what they think is comprehensive documents, whether it's information about Google pay-per-click, which a lot of them help you advertise via, or whether it's just a marketing document or a training document. So what they handed us was a pretty big folder with different tabs, which had a lot of training in there. But as it turns out, and again, hindsight's 20/20, but a lot of that was kind of fluff. So, my recommendation for anybody listening to this is that, hey, if you are going to go with a franchise, then go with one that's established and go with one that really in the beginning, because you need a lot of hand holding in the beginning. You need one that's really going to hold you by the finger and move you upwards.
So let's take it now to when you're actually operating the
Yeah.
franchise. All businesses have their own challenges and hurdles. What are some of the most common challenges that you faced while you were running this specific business?
I had underestimated the initial capital that I was going to need. They give you this again, the FDD, the franchise disclosure document that you mentioned. It tells you a lot of things. Hey, you're going to need X number of dollars for the franchise. The way ours was structured, it was structured by territory. So we would get one territory for, I believe, about 90,000 at that time, and then the next territory was due after 6 months for 35,000, and you would build it up, and we were supposed to build it up to five territories within New Jersey. What they don't tell you is all the other expenditures that go when you start the business. And the most notable one being, you don't really know how much working capital you're going to need, because me and my partner, we both came from six-figure jobs. So we knew that we weren't going to immediately start making that much money, and we kind of put aside about 6 months worth of capital. But by the time we could even get to that level, it took us like a year and a half.
What was the franchise fee for one-on-one mobility, and at the same time, what was the total investment, including the franchise fee?
So, Rashad, if I remember correctly, I think the initial fee was like 90,000, and then the additional territories were 35,000 each.
The number one reason any business fails, the number one, whether you're a franchise or not, is a lack of working capital. It's a good transition to the question I like to leave our audience with, is what advice do you have for any entrepreneur interested in becoming a franchise owner?
I would recommend going with an established franchisor. I would recommend going with a brand which is known. Like you mentioned during your introduction, McDonald's, Burger King, they're all franchises, but not everyone can get in there because the cost of the capital is too high in the beginning, the initial investment that you have to put out. It always helps to have a spouse who has a steady paycheck when you start a business. If you do decide to go in with a partner, be very comfortable with them, and just be sure that whoever it is, they pull their weight.
Sonny, I really want to thank you for being on the Business 360 podcast and shedding light on an industry that can be very lucrative, but requires definitely some form of attention, care, research, due diligence, and concern before going down that road.
Thank you for having me, Rushabh.